What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Free State Podcast. I am your co-host, Brian.
Now I'm Doug. Thank you for
yes,
coming here.
yes, sir. All right. So I guess before we get started, let's talk about the Duncan Lemp rally because we were both there and been talking it up. So wasn't the showing that I was hoping for. I think the weather kept some people away. I know some more out of staters were supposed to be there, but all in all, I think it was a success. What do you think?
Yeah, it was definitely brisk to be sure. But definitely definitely got some people stopping to see what we were all about and everything like that. So I mean, all in all, a success. You know, it was a good time with good people, and definitely showing that we still care about this injustice that's been done. So I think that we accomplished that mission.
Apparently there was some cops, like the same cops, kept driving around the block. And there was people talking, like rolling out, stopping their cars, rolling down the windows, and like asking like what's going on and stuff like that. But yeah, it was really, really fucking cold. It's been colder in March than it was all last month in February. So we kind of made do with what we had, and yeah. So I mean, I think next year, like we were talking about last night, kind of do it, like go to in front of the Montgomery County Council, and then, or do a rally, and then go talk to County Council in the evening, something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a yearly thing until this at least gets somewhat resolved, right? I mean, I'm not confident in Montgomery County that they'll ever bring justice to Duncan Lemp and his family, but we can keep trying, right? One day a year, I think we can do that and plan it sooner and get it better, get it bigger, get more people there. But I appreciate everybody that came out. It was still fun, even though it was really fucking cold.
Yeah, I'd have to say there was definitely some running back to cars to get extra layers, but other than that, I think we did pretty all right.
Yeah,
pretty all right.
It was cold enough that if you didn't have gloves on and you were out there long enough, you just stopped feeling your hands, so it wasn't too bad, right? The worst is when they just keep burning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next year we're just going to keep doing it and promote it bigger, and hopefully we actually get the state party to kind of get behind it next year, pending any sort of exec board changes next month at our convention. So, all right, let's get into it. The first story that I have for tonight is Governor Wes Moore. And I've talked about him, Doug, before you came on the show. When he took office, I was talking about all of his proposed communist, socialist, whatever you want to call it, plans, right? So he's already been pushing for $15 an hour minimum wage throughout the state of Maryland. And now he wants to ban gas passenger car and light truck sales by model year 2035. And this follows right along with California. So when I was saying that Maryland is going to become the next California, and here we are. Here it's starting, and he's not really wasting any time. So I'm going to read some of this article. This is from the Maryland.gov website. And it was published yesterday. New regulation requires manufacturers to continuously increase the share of electric vehicles sold, reaching 100% of passenger car and light truck sales by model year 2035. Doug, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is a good call? Do you think that it'll actually happen? Do you think it's possible? Do you think the electrical grid can actually handle it?
Well, the colloquial answer is no, it cannot. But the thing is, I'm trying to figure out, because leftism kind of operates on the ideal, Like they operate in the idealistic realm. And the idea is like, well, first off, on the minimum wage issue, like $15 an hour isn't even close anymore. Inflation definitely took care of that. But when it comes to the electric grid, when it comes to being able to purchase these cars, when it comes to being able to cut out fossil fuel, I'm trying to figure out what exactly the basis for this data is. Like, why did you come up with the year 2035? And how do you plan on going in a steady march that way while making these cars affordable for the average American? The answer is you can't, because inflation isn't stopping anytime soon, or there's no indication that it is. So, what exactly is the end goal here? And much like other socialist policies, you look at it and say, wow, they really didn't think this one through. And that's sort of where I'm at, is it'll end itself. Really. It's going to get to a point maybe 5 years from now that we're like, oh shit, people aren't actually going to be able to afford these cars. And the only people that are going to be able to weather that storm are people that live within monorail distance of the city, work within walking distance of their homes. Everyone else is going to get screwed. But I think secretly that was the plan the whole time if you actually look at the voter base in Maryland. So,
Well, yeah, it goes right along with the World Economic Forum's proposed 15-minute cities, right? Get rid of cars and first off, just make them illegal so people can't drive them. And then just make 15-minute cities. You can just walk and ride your bike everywhere. There's no historical relevance to American freedom with a gasoline vehicle, right? That holds no place in the Americans' freedom of movement throughout the country. And there's no kind of ingrained history of that in our country, right? Right? We're just okay with just riding bikes like we're in Belgium or some shit like that.
Unfortunately, I don't think that the practicality just doesn't, it's just not there. Then the math ain't mathing. I don't really know what exactly they hope to do. It's like even the World Economic Forum, the idea is like, the conspiracy, like eat the bug burger and everything else like that, the 15-minute cities. I'm like, most of this is not feasible within our lifetimes. So what exactly are they planning? Everyone had to march towards the exact same goal for the next several generations to make that a worldwide thing. And that's just not going to happen. Human beings don't work that way. So we used to laugh at the 5-year plans from Russia. We used to laugh at Mao's Great Leap Forward. Now we're trying it ourselves. And I'm like, where did we derail? Because it's funny because the boomers are the ones proposing this, but they're the ones that watched it fail in other countries. So I'm not exactly sure where we're going with this. And we are living in the worst timeline. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. As soon as Harambe got murdered, then everything started going downhill.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read a little bit from from the office of Governor Wes Moore. Governor Wes Moore yesterday, announced Maryland's adoption of the multi-state Advanced Clean Cars 2 rule, a major step in the state's acceleration to improve air quality and combat the effects of climate change. Maryland is moving quickly to adopt the regulation, which requires manufacturers to continuously increase the share of electric vehicles they sell, reaching 100% of passenger car and light truck sales by model year 2035. Today, we're talking about a major transformation that is going to define this administration, and that's how we turn Maryland from a state powered by oil and gas to a state powered by clean energy, said Governor Moore. I am confident that the state of Maryland can and will lead the clean energy revolution. The Advanced Clean Cars 2 rule, and this is bad because it's a sequel. There's the only good sequel to ever come out was Wayne's World 2. So
Clean Cars 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. The rule is a vehicle emission standard first adopted by California, using its unique authority under the Federal Clean Air Act. Now that California has adopted the standards, other states can follow suit. It goes on to say Maryland has the most ambitious climate goals in the nation. Uh, Strong federal and state incentives. So that means, I guess, payouts or tax breaks or whatever. It's usually what that means. Um, According to the Maryland Department of the Environment Analysis, 383,000 fewer new gas vehicles would be sold under the new rule by 2030, rising to 1.68 million fewer conventional vehicles by 2035. Between 2026 and 2040, the rule will deliver additional vehicular reductions of more than 6,000 tons of nitrogen oxides, as well as reduction of vehicular and power plant carbon dioxide emissions by more than 82 million metric tons. By 2040, these reductions may potentially provide net in-state health benefits, uh, benefits equal to about 39.9 million per year due to decreases in respiratory and cardiovascular illness and associated lost work days. Yes, you will be a work slave, and we're going to make sure that you don't miss a day of work because the air will be clean. It's, I mean, this is, it's it's dystopian, really. Honestly, when you read that and you start, just that's all I can say about it. It's fucking dystopian. It's, I mean, I know we have friends that have electric vehicles, and some of them like them. Some of them, actually, most of them like them. But there's something odd to me that in a, let's call it like a shit hits the fan scenario. What are you going to do, right? The grid's going to be down, and your only mode of transportation is a gas vehicle. If we all have electric vehicles, we can't go anywhere, and we are easier to control. The way that's my kind of paranoid mind. The way that I look at it.
Well, it's the reality of it is that they're doing all of this kind of 30, 40, 50 years too late. If you're trying to stop climate change, if you're trying to stop the environment, if you're trying to stop health issues, what I think is so hilarious is that they keep moving the goalpost. They keep moving the goalpost. Like, well, we have to get it done by this year, this year, this year. We'll be in a climate crisis in 2012. No, wait, no, it's going to be 2015. Now it's going to be 2020, 2023. And we're moving further and further out. Has anyone kind of figured out that maybe like there's really no way to stop the climate change that's happening? That the world actually just goes in this cycle, and that no matter what economic reform you try to make, it's just not going to happen. See, that's unfortunately what ended up happening was we started moving in this direction as a country, and now you can't turn face. It was kind of the same thing with the COVID lockdowns, is they couldn't just say, oh shit, this isn't nearly as bad as we thought it was going to be. They had to save face and keep the lockdowns and double down. And that's what they're doing now. They're doubling down on a system that is not actually going to save anyone. And there's no statistical proof that it will. And they just keep changing the goalpost, and they just keep moving the sticks. And at the end of the day, you're right. It is about control. I mean, it's the worst part is we don't even live in corporatism anymore. We live in an oligarchy. And all of those companies benefit, be it big pharma, be it big oil, and any automobile company that's going to now shift from the oil industry into the electric car industry. Think of all the oil that's going to take to make those cars. So,
Well, and yeah, and let's think about who started the whole green movement. It wasn't a bunch of hippies. It wasn't a bunch of do-gooders. It was big oil. Big oil
yeah.
saw the writing on the wall, and they knew that this was eventually going to be the future, and they should be the ones leading the charge, and so they can profit. I mean, which is fine. I'm okay with companies profiting, but there's no scientific data to actually back this shit up, and it's another kind of democratic like talking point where it pulls at people's heartstrings and they don't actually want to look at the data. Global temperature trends, they haven't been keeping hard data until like the mid 70s. There's a meteorologist that I follow. He used to be in Baltimore, Justin Burke, and he he's a normal kind of guy, right? He's not really politically involved at all, but he'll come out every now and then with some studies that show that there is no uh, definite data to show that humans are causing climate change. That it's just natural, and they, if you remember, it used to be global warming, but then they realized that the globe isn't warming; it's actually cooling. So now it's climate change, right? Because certain areas are seeing colder temperatures or more rain or more storms because it's just the natural ebb and flow of the earth. So um, it's just another talking point, another feel good talking point, another political point getter. You know,
Yeah.
just like a lot of these Democratic bills, and I couldn't tell, but I'm guessing it's some sort of executive order. It didn't go through the state legislation, so it's some sort of governor's executive order, governor's order, whatever. Um, so anything else you want to say about that nonsense before we move on to the next story?
Uh, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely agree. And by 2035, I guarantee you my Toyota Tacoma will still be trudging along. I'm trying to get to that million mile. So fuck you guys. I'm not getting rid of my Tacoma.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much.
so the next thing that I want to talk about is Senate Bill 1. I've talked about it a whole lot on this podcast, and rightfully so, because it's the state of Maryland trying to take away our gun rights, as they always have, always tried to do. And Senate Bill 1, which is the bill that is restricts where we can legally carry concealed or open carry firearms, because you can open carry your firearm in Maryland. It's passed the committee in the Senate, so it's trudging through on its way to get to the governor's desk, and it's pretty obvious that Wes Moore will, uh, he's going to pass it. Why wouldn't he? It's right along. It, gun control and climate change motivated legislation, all this stupid shit. Um, so I have this article here from the NRA of all places. I don't really like the NRA, but you know, give them a win every now and then, I guess. Go away, Ed. Um, and it says, despite the thousands of opposition requests, and it was thousands. I mean, they had a line out of the hearing room of people that were opposed to this bill, and yet they just didn't listen. They do it anyway. Despite thousands of opposition requests, the Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee received the committee passed Senate Bill 1, a gun control bill that expands gun-free zones while leaving only law-abiding citizens defenseless. And Senate Bill 858, a bill that mandates firearm storage. SB 1 and SB 858 advanced to the Senate floor for debate and vote. Please contact your senator now. Tell them to oppose the bill. Senate Bill 1 expands gun-free zones where law-abiding citizens will not be able to carry for self-defense. This patchwork of so-called sensitive areas does nothing more than create confusion for law-abiding citizens while being ignored by criminals. Proponents not only fail to explain how disarming law-abiding, trained, and licensed individuals will result in a safer environment, they present no plan to disarm violent criminals who continue to break existing laws and pose an obvious threat to the public's safety. When I initially brought this bill up, when I think it was the first episode of the podcast, I brought it up. They have since made quite a few amendments. They took out like train stations. There was this whole slew of random places that you couldn't carry. They took out a lot of them, but you can't carry in like a restaurant, if anywhere that serves alcohol. You don't have to be drinking. You don't have to be near alcohol. You don't have to be in the bar area. Nothing. And you can't carry. You can carry at a I think it's like a play. You can go to like a a play, but you can't carry at like a concert or which could arguably be the same venue, but because the way that the bill is worded, you couldn't carry at a concert or a movie theater, but you can carry at a theater where like a play is going on. Um, so I mean, it's moving right along. And what's so funny is that one, we know that this is unconstitutional, right? So it's going to get passed. It's going to go through all this time, this taxpayer money, and it's going to end up in the courts. Either MSI or Firearm Policy Coalition are going to file a lawsuit. It's going to get brought up in court, and it'll probably get struck down. So it's literally just a waste of time and money. And at the same time, like right now, the Circuit Court for the Federal Circuit Court for the Fourth Circuit Court or the federal government, whatever it's called, um, are right now are arguing the case that our HQL requirements in Maryland are unconstitutional. So, on one end, in the state level, we have all these legislatures that are trying to pass this bill saying that we can't carry in certain places. And then on the federal level, we have a court saying that our HQL requirements in Maryland are unconstitutional just straight up, and you should just be able to go buy a handgun without any sort of classes and exorbitant prices is the wording. Um, so it's this huge disconnect. Obviously, our state doesn't follow the Constitution, so you know, like what are we to take from this? Because it feels like as law abiding citizens, we're just being pulled in either direction right now.
Well, I would argue that as a political move in a majority blue state, well, at least the voter base, the idea of them ratifying this and the idea of them doing this just for it to get struck down gives them political viability because it makes them look very good to their voter base because they could simply point the finger and say, see, we tried to do it. We tried to make it happen. We tried to make you quote unquote safe, but these Republicans and these gun lobbies and these corporate America, it struck us down. It's kind of the Obama tactics all over again. The idea is that you don't necessarily have to get anything done. You just have to make it look like you were getting things done. It's honestly the reason why democracy isn't always the best system when it comes to these things, because you're selling yourself. You're making yourself look good for the next election campaign. Because as soon as you're elected, you are now campaigning for your second term. That's it. That's the end of the road. Because as an elected official, you have a finite amount of time. So you're maybe going to pass one or two things, maybe. And then the rest of it's just going to be, oh, well, they blocked me. They blocked me. You're just going to have to give me more time. Give me more money. It's, you already know my feelings on democracy as a system, but this is one of those cases where I can point to it and say, Exhibit A.
Yeah, it's like nothing but bad news. I'm just realizing that everything we're talking about tonight is like pretty like bad news, right? It's like continuing this dystopian future that is staring us down in the face,
We live
along
in
with
Maryland. It's just the way it
banks
is. We live in a blue
collapsing.
state.
Yeah, we got banks collapsing. Our economy is slowly just crumbling. We have tyrants trying to take our gun rights. We have tyrants trying to take our gas powered vehicles. Actually, let me see if I can find it real quick. There was a Baltimore City councilman today who is trying to propose something about gas powered leaf blowers. Let me see if I can find it. I know I saw it. So where is it? But oh, here it is. Okay, let me pull this up and share it. This is Ryan Dorsey. I don't know where he's at in Baltimore City, but it's Baltimore City, so you know it's shit, right? And TJ Smith. He used to be the Baltimore City Police spokesperson, and now he has a show slot on WBL radio. I think he's like 10 to 2, I think, like something like that.
Except in the most brief way.
Can you hear that?
I don't know anybody that's thrilled about gas-powered leaf blowers. I don't know anybody again, that noise that I got to listen to or watching TV or trying to work from my desk at home or just be at peace in my living room or bedroom. I don't know anybody that's like really happy about having to listen to that noise next to them, and it's something that people complain about every year. It's a seasonal problem, and there are quieter, less environmentally harmful alternatives that are readily available to people, and I think that we should be making everybody move in the direction of something that's quieter, that disturbs the peace less, and that is less environmentally harmful. I propose we ban gas-powered leaf blowers or debris removal equipment, as this bill refers to them. And
Oh, can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. Um, but yeah, this is just goes along the lines with more dystopian shit. This is more California stuff. Remember that last year the year before they banned gas generators. Like this is the same stuff. So, you know, we always joke that Maryland is turning into California, and here we are. We actually have the bills coming from California that are now coming here. I mean, the way this guy was talking about a leaf blower, like God forbid, like your neighbor blows some leaves or some grass around at 9 o'clock in the morning in the spring in the summertime. Like it's just completely and utterly ridiculous. And it's not going to end at fucking leaf blowers. It's going to turn to generators. It's going to turn into, you know, literally any gas powered thing, right? We're going to have electric motors for our boats next.
Honestly, I'm trying to figure out where he's getting the idea that electric leaf blowers are somehow that much quieter. That's what I was looking at. I was like, dog, they're leaf blowers. They have to have enough power to blow leaves on the ground. They're not going to be silent runners. And I think that for me was sort of where I kind of looked at him like, you know, you remember the video a long time ago, the reporter shooting the AR and crying in the corner afterwards? Yeah, I kind of got that image when I was listening to this guy, because this guy's got a mask on while he's speaking, one. And two,
He's
it's
just wearing a
muffled.
mask, period.
Yeah, he's wearing a mask, period. And I'm just kind of looking at him like, bruh, like, I really don't want to listen to this guy about anything, because he reminds me of the guy that will have a party the night before, but as soon as you start trimming your hedges, he's going to file a noise complaint on you. Like, that's exactly what this guy reminds me of. He is, I'm just going to be blunt, I like black people until they live next door to me kind of guy. That's what he looks like to me. Like, that's right. He is a champagne socialist. He is a Lamborghini liberal, all the way to his tacky khaki pants and black shirt thing he's got going on there. That's just, everything about this guy screams corny, and he's giving off strong soy burger energy.
He's the kid that would have a party at his house in high school, and then when it got too big, even though he did nothing to prevent a lot of people from coming, he would start kicking everybody. He would call the cops on his own party. That's the kind of guy that he was, 100%.
Yeah.
That ever happened to you? You ever go to a party and the kid having the party called the cops on his own party?
I didn't hang out with bitches. Didn't work out that.
I didn't hang out. It was some mansion around here, and a bunch of people showed up. People started fighting, and he called the cops on his own party. It was quite the night. But he was totally be that guy who would call the cops on his own party.
Well, unfortunately, this is what our state is moving towards, because if you actually look at the way that our industry has gone, it's more of a tech industry, it's more government industry. You're going to get guys like this. This is who we attract now. Baltimore is attracting these people. Every area around DC is attracting these people. And then you have a very, very, very poor underclass that is increasing. So you're going to have, honestly, you're going to have Plato's Republic at some point. You're going to have an ultra rich, and then you're going to have a really, really poor. And we are becoming California. That is what we are doing. And it's sad because, I mean, at some point in 10 years, I might not want to live, like, honestly, I might pull the ripcord on the state at that point. You know what I mean? It's because at some point, you have to look at reality and realize that our state is moving towards that way, because some people simply just can't afford anything else. So what they'll do is they latch on to this government program because they feel it's the only way that they can make any kind of money. So they'll just go along with what anybody says. You're right. You'll become work slaves. Yep. And that's it. And that's what we're going to get as bad as Norway, Sweden, and Denmark at some point when it comes to ridiculous rules.
The thing that does give me some semblance of hope is that there are still Americans who are proud to be Americans and don't comply. That's what I'm still banking on peaceful non-compliance. Like the carrying thing. Fuck it, just keep carrying. You know what I mean? Like free men care not what tyrants write on paper. In that case, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Like, that's just me personally. So
yeah, it's easy for me.
You're not going to go around shooting people, right? We're not violent criminals. We just want to protect ourselves, and we will do so by any means necessary.
I sincerely live by the belief that, just don't mess with me and I won't mess with you. I really don't care what you do on your own property as long as you're not hurting anyone else or myself. I really don't. But that's a very extremist thing now, isn't it? It's becoming more and more extreme to just want to live in your own little space and do your own thing. It's just getting to a point where, for me, it's harder to reason with people year after year because it's starting to get more and more unreasonable what they're demanding. And at some point, this is why I've lost respect for the Republican Party, is because all they want to do is compromise. They don't draw hard lines in the sand. Bro, I'm not going to give up my gas-powered anything just so I can buy something that's twice as expensive that doesn't actually work as well. There's no point in me doing that, especially for science that doesn't actually exist. So for me, I don't quite understand the legal precedents other than this guy's just a big weenie. And I know that this doesn't sound like an intellectual thing to say. I understand that. Everyone's going to roll their eyes and say, oh, look at the big bald meathead. But the reality is the dude's soft. Like if you're that upset about a leaf blower, bro, come on. That is first world problems. That is first world white liberal elite problems. That's pretty ridiculous.
Right. Well, I mean, that's like
Going
you've
through.
you've been to my house many a times. If you can't stand the sound of four wheelers and dirt bikes and you know people starting up their boats, get them ready to go out, or chickens and roosters, and I mean, we're not supposed to do any of that stuff. If you can't stand, golf carts going down the road, like that's what we do in my neighborhood. Like all of that shit's like not, you're not supposed to do any of that shit, but everybody minds their own business, right? There's this one four wheeler that's like really loud and it bothers me, but I'm not going to say anything. Just fucking deal with it a little bit. It's not like it's all the time. And it's not like it's like 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday when I'm trying to sleep in or something like that. It's like you live amongst people. You have to give and take. It's not all about you. I mean, this is kind of that mentality of like the participation trophies, right? I am here, so I deserve all the respect all the time, and if I am a slight bit uncomfortable, then it's your fault, and you need to change. Uh, there's no mentality of just sucking shit up anymore. Like, suck it up, Buttercup. Like, just deal with it. People do their own shit and have the freedom to do their own shit, at least for now. So just fucking deal with it and stop bitching.
It's just gotten worse and worse over time, and it's going to keep getting worse because we keep pandering to the lowest common denominator. And unfortunately, unless society has a major realignment. And there is a white pill moment there because at some point it's going to reach its apex. Like, it's going to reach critical mass and the law of diminishing returns will kick in. And you're just going to be like, there really is no more adaptation that we can do reasonably. And people are just going to either accept that and eventually kind of realize that all of the rules they've set before can be changed also. Or, it's just going to keep getting, I'll be honest with you. It feels like the fat acceptance movement all over again. It's just like, we're going to like unhealthy at any size, but wait, no, we're healthy at any size. You know what I mean? So it's one of those, like, people kept telling me that, COVID was dangerous to the 60% of the population. I was like, well, 60% of the population is also obese. So maybe closing the gyms wasn't a great idea, but
like that may have been by design. You can't go outside to a park. You can't go to a skate park. You can't walk your dog. You can't get sunshine, some vitamin D. Yeah, I mean, I saw a video on Twitter today of some woman on like one of them little scooters at the store, and her rear end was so wide that she could not. The scooter could fit through the door, but her ass could not. I mean, that's we're getting somewhere, right? And then they're going to say that it's not that door is not inclusive because her 4-foot wide ass can't fit through the door. But you have all of these people telling them that they're healthy and they're beautiful. Like, no, you're unhealthy, you're fat, and you're gross, and you need to change it, or else you're going to die. And I'm sure you're not working, so I'm sure you're living off of government money, aka our money, the taxpayer money. And then you're also an extra burden because you're unhealthy and you require all of these medical treatments to keep your fat ass alive just because you don't want to not eat McDonald's, or you don't want to go for a walk, or change your lifestyle. I'm overweight, I know that, but I'm not like not fitting through doors, and I'm not claiming that the life isn't equitable because I'm overweight. I accept it, and I know I need to change it, and I can change it, right? It's being fat is not something, it's not permanent, right? And you have the excuse of people like, oh, I have a thyroid issue. Take medicine for it. I have a thyroid issue. I take medicine for it. It's there is no excuse. Oh, it's genetic. then change your lifestyle. You have to work that much harder. It's no excuse just to be fat and unhealthy. And those are the same people dying of COVID.
Unfortunately, like that, it requires self-determination. It requires self-reflection. And I don't find it to be a coincidence that most leftists I've met are either really weak or really, 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 really fat. Like it's just like really scrawny, really fat people that are really soft and afraid of confrontation. So,
right.
Come and get me, lefties. If you're watching the podcast, come and get me. Hi, how are you? Yeah.
All right. Let's
went off on a tangent there, but
my headphones just crapped out on me. These damn headphones. I'm tired of them. I gotta get some new ones. Okay. Can you hear me? Can I hear you?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Actually, I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay. All right, let's go on to the last story. And the last story for the night is Biden issues executive order to strengthen background checks for guns. President Biden will announce a handful of minor steps designed to improve enforcement of existing gun laws during a trip to Monterey Park, California. This is from the New York Times. I did archive it so you don't have to give them your click traffic. And this was from this afternoon, 2:40 this afternoon. In the nearly 9 months since President Biden signed into law a series of gun safety measures last summer, scores of Americans have been killed or wounded in mass shootings across the country. In the Illinois suburbs, at a Virginia university, and a LGBTQIA++ nightclub in Colorado, and at a dance studio in the Los Angeles suburb. Throughout that time, Mr. Biden has vowed to seek passage of a new ban on assault weapons, come hell or high water, in quotes. But the president and his aides have acknowledged there is virtually no chance of that happening in a Congress that remains deeply divided over how to confront the slaughter of its citizens and repeated spasms of gun-related violence. So Mr. Biden, it's weird they didn't say President Biden. So Mr. Biden is traveling on Tuesday to Monterey Park, where a gunman killed 11 people in January at the Star Ballroom Dance Studio, to announce a handful of steps designed to improve enforcement of existing laws that have so far failed to prevent mass shootings in one American community after another. The visit and the announcement of a new executive order is Mr. Biden's latest attempt to express his horror over the continued loss of life and to demonstrate his administration's effort to reduce the chance of another mass shooting. But the president is constrained by the Second Amendment. Oh, God, he's constrained by the Second Amendment. God fucking forbid we have our constitutional rights. And a political system that has so far refused to make progress on his demands for universal background checks for gun sales, a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, and the repeal of immunity from liability for gun manufacturers. There's some more to this.
There's no such thing as an assault weapon.
I didn't pre-read this one, I'll be honest. It seeks to improve reporting of guns and ammunition that is lost or stolen. Calls for better transparency about gun dealers who are cited for firearms violations, and it directs agencies to work with the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network to improve the quality of investigations into gun crimes. So more gun control is on its way, thanks to Biden.
At some point, there are more guns in the United States than there are human beings. So, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm not necessarily sure how they plan on controlling guns. And it's just like every other prohibition before it. It's going to fail. You'll have a war on drugs. They had a war on immigration, and they're going to have a war on guns. And it's going to fail the same way. Like, I don't even get. Can you hear me? All right. How about now? Okay. I can't hear you either. Ba 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 ba. I can't hear you either. Like, I don't even get.
I can't hear you, but your audio is coming through the stream. So keep talking. I'm working on it.
Okay, well, the big thing is I'm not sure what exactly everyone wants the government to do about this, because at some point you have to understand that when you have an abundance of a resource, you can't outlaw it. It's the same thing that happened with booze. It's the same thing that's happening with drugs. Well, it's been happened with drugs. And now you're looking at it with weapons. You're looking at it with guns. You can make guns in your basement. You can make drugs in your basement. You can make alcohol in your bathtub. You're not going to be able to stop it. You can say sale, but let's be real. I mean, black markets thrive in those situations. You're actually going to make crime worse. And every point in history that we've tried prohibition, it has failed recklessly and caused irreparable damage to communities. And nobody wants to admit it. Oh, how about this? They admit it when it's convenient to their cause to admit it. So at the end of the day, I don't really see how any of these things are going to affect me. Like, I mean, yes, I won't be able to buy weapons over the counter, but, you know, the forces of nature will correct themselves. And that's all I'll say on that matter, legally. We seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties. Hi, anyway, letting everybody know that Calvert County Libertarians is off and running. I am officially the chair there. So, again, I live in North Beach, which is the North Beach and Chesapeake Beach area of Calvert County. Going out to anyone from Prince Frederick, Lusby, Leonardtown, all these things. Be happy to hit you guys up and see if we can start a hangout. You know, I'm going to be doing the Calvert County Fair this year. I'm going to be doing a lot of other things in the community, just trying to get the word out. You know, like it's two people's better than one. So we'll get it going on. Can you hear me?
All right. I think I'm back. I'm sorry. I don't know
You're okay.
what's going on. Can I hear you?
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. All right. This
is
great.
All right.
All right. So let's make do. I guess we got to wrap this up because for some reason my headphones are working, but I can't hear you.
Okay.
We're troubleshooting in real time. This is what's great about live streaming, I guess. And the live stream on like Twitter and YouTube is delayed, so it'd be like a weird long delay.
We'll just have to chop the time.
I don't know.
Make it.
It says it's working. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
All right. I guess we got to wrap it up because this shit's being retarded. So,
interesting.
But yeah, did you give me a thumbs up if you said your piece about the Biden executive order? Thumbs up. All right, cool. Sorry, everybody, for the difficulties. I can't hear my co-host for some reason. He can hear me. I can see him, but I can't hear him. My headphones are working. They are connected. This is really whack. I'm sorry. So I guess with that, we're just going to call it a night. So everybody, thank you for joining us on the Free State Podcast. Hopefully we don't have these technical issues again. Sorry, Doug. Kind of screwed you over on that one. But see, come hang out with us next week. And with that, everybody have a good night.
Everyone have a good night. Thank you.